Middleman. Middleman. Middleman.
Welcome to the Middlemen of Jurors. This forum exists to place public issues on record, examine them with reason, and render judgment without sentiment or favoritism. Today, power will be questioned, responsibility traced, and accountability demanded where it has long been avoided. There will be no slogans, no distractions, no convenient forgetting, only evidence, historical record, and consequence. Juror Evans Ufeli, the juror from Rabbi, in this case titled Senate, Drawing Nigeria Backwards, warns that Nigeria may be retreating from a critical transparency safeguard. He argues that refusing to mandate real-time electronic transmission opens the door to manipulation, fuels post-election disputes, and raises serious questions about the legislature's commitment to credible elections. Juror Henry Igwebike, in his case, Old Money, New Money, examines the growing identity crisis of Nigeria's billionaire class. He contrasts wealth built on discipline, structure, and traceable effort with a new culture of loud affluence, vague success stories, and unverifiable fortunes, warning that when society stops asking questions, fraud begins to look like achievement. Juror Emeka Madunagu connects past and present. In his case, Fela's Grammy and Nigeria's future. He says Fela didn't just make music, he challenged power, mocked hypocrisy, and confronted injustice head-on. As the world finally gives Fela his flowers, Madunagu poses a hard question. If the message still applies today, how much progress have we really made? I, Jola Jumake Alawadi James, in my case, spiritual attack or system failure, invite us all to pause and reflect on a habit many Nigerians really question. I warn that calling preventable deaths spiritual attacks allows broken hospitals, the absence of power, and a failed emergency system allow errant leaders escape accountability, leaving faith to cover what governance failed to fix. All these conversations and more we will dissect after this short break. Just stay with us. We'll be right back.
Middleman. 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 In the hallowed halls of justice, where echoes of truth intertwine with whispers of despair, there stands Jumoke Alawode James, a radiant figure sculpted by the universe, with a beauty akin to a stallion galloping through fields of reckoning. Clad in the armor of eloquence, her voice pierces the thick veil of complacency, unraveling cases that cradle the very essence of Nigeria's collective agony. She stands a sentinel over a nation laid bare, beckoning it to rise from the ashes of its own dissolution, crying out for a redemption that dances just beyond reach. Next emerges Evans Ufeli, a sage, with a heart that beats in harmony with the rhythm of justice, an advocate driven by a fervent dream of egalitarian dawn. Each week, he unfolds a scroll of cases bestowed upon him by the wise rabbi, a craft woven with threads of profound thought and searing urgency. His lamentation for the plight of the people rises like a haunting melody, reverberating through a land where self-inflicted wounds twist the tendrils of allegiance into knots of a servitude, traded for nothing more than a pittance, a morsel of bread amidst the hunger of the soul. Then strides forth Emeka Madunagu, a linguistic maestro armed with knowledge as dense as the forest, each word a carefully sharpened arrow aimed at the heart of injustice. He ventures onto this hallowed platform armed with solutions, a veritable panacea for the ail of his compatriots. Emeka unyielding locks eyes with the elite, unflinching in his resolve as he speaks truth to power with the fervor of a modern-day prophet. He advocates for a class suicide, a radical act of severance from the vines of greed that choke the very life of Nigeria, prescribing this sacrificial rite as the only balm for the nation's festering wounds. Now, we bear witness to Innocent Aduluba, a custodian of integrity, where honesty flows like a river untainted. His edges of sacred truth is fortified by the solid foundation of reason, delivering a symphony of clarity that dances gracefully along the social-cultural spectrum. Innocent, an oracle of the common people, channels their pulse, imbibing the essence of their struggles and transforming them into the language of the streets. His enlightenment becomes a lantern, guiding those lost in the shadow, illuminating pathways once obscured as he breathes life into the collective consciousness. Henry Igwebike stands as a watchdog, a vigilant watcher of the tempest that permeates the fabric of Nigeria, a land once resplendent with the vibrancy of hope, now adrift in the murky waters of uncertainty. With a heart heavy, yet buoyed by fate, he ponders the fate of this great vessel, once sailed by the spirits of unity and promise, now battered by the storms of discord and strife. What port shall it find amidst the turmoil? Where does the compass of its destiny truly point? As waves of cynicism crash against its hull, as the sirens of turmoil sing lullabies of disillusion. In this pantheon of jurors, each voice rings out a chorus, weaving the fabric of a new Nigeria. Sit, relax, and enjoy the show. The middleman of jurors. Middleman.
Thanks for staying with us. My case: spiritual attack or system failure. To tell us Nigerians are spiritually attacked, America just released millions of pages in the Jeffrey Epstein files, documents showing powerful people abusing power, abusing children, abusing trust. And what happened? No riots, no burning streets, no national shutdown, just silence. So tell me, are they spiritually attacked too? I ask this question because here in Nigeria, Ifunanya Nwangene went to sleep in her own room and a snake bit her. She ran for help. She got on a bike, reached the hospital. No anti-venom. She booked a ride, reached the Federal Medical Center, and still ended up dead. Not because the snake was powerful, but because Nigeria failed her. 2 snakes were later found in her room, and Nigerians said, spiritual attack. Not failed government on lack of electricity, empty hospitals, broken emergency systems. Spiritual attack. Come on, guys. We were told private hospitals don't stock anti-venom because there is no constant power. And instead of demanding electricity, instead of demanding equipped hospitals, instead of demanding accountability, we started sharing herbal recipes. That isn't faith. That is abandonment. Let me be clear. Nigerians are not uniquely lackadaisical. We're just uniquely misgoverned. Other countries expose scandals and activate institutions. We lose lives and activate prayer chains. Others build systems. We build coping mechanisms. That is the real tragedy. Here's my verdict. If we do not have leaders who protect lives, then Nigerians must protect their future with their own votes. We cannot keep doing the same things and crying spiritual attack. So Nigeria doesn't end up with leaders like those of Cameroon, Uganda, Tanzania, and Nepal before 2025. We must embrace the use of technology. Unfortunately, the Senate, pretending like we are not literate enough to know, have thrown out electronic transmission of election results. We at citizenmonitors.com were building an app. On election day, use it, take pictures, record videos, upload from your polling unit. Let technology stop the midnight rewriting of our destiny. Nigeria does not need more spiritual explanations. Nigeria needs credible leaders, leaders who leave spirituality private and deliver governance publicly. So our children don't die running from snakes. So our mothers don't die searching for hospitals. So Nigerians stop dying avoidable deaths. Enough excuses. Nigeria must succeed.
It's actually quite interesting that you actually, dabbled into lots of areas and.
The ties.
Okay.
It's a profound case because it ties a lot around our welfare, our well-being as a country. When you look at this, the case of this girl, very pathetic. I think we should blame both the government and the people. Because I learned that one of the hospitals she went was a private hospital. So private hospitals should be able to have first aid, should be able to have, should think enough to have those facilities. The anti-venom, anti-malaria, antibiotics. Medicals is of 3 levels. You have primary healthcare, secondary healthcare, and tertiary healthcare. Okay, which determines medical cases on varying degrees. Okay, when it's terminal, you have to go to a tertiary. When it's midway, you have to go to a secondary, and when it's primary, you have to be addressed by the primary healthcare registry. But you see, these cadres of healthcare facilities are actually not optimally effective, even the private ones. It will shock you to know that even the private ones don't have the required facility it takes to rescue life in very deep situations of emergency. Not too long ago, Mama that did his son passed as a result of the same issue of medical negligence. This also is a case of medical negligence because you are supposed to have those facilities, you don't have it. Now, the season where we are is the season usually when reptiles we walk around in the wild. Okay. But it happened that climate change this year affected the fact that because the rains, it was raining even at the time when it's supposed to have dry season. And so the reptiles are all looking for somewhere warm, places warm. So they go into people's homes and into huts and closets. Okay. We should have enough medical investigation to foresee that there may be influx of reptiles into people's homes because of climate change. When they are supposed to be in their natural habitats, it's raining. When they're supposed to be dry season, it's raining. And they will look for somewhere warm. And in the process, they're going to affect people. Okay. One time, I stayed somewhere where it rained and a man woke up and saw alligator in his sitting room. And the alligator was watching television. Okay. So, yes. Yes. Because it's natural habitat, has been taken away by flood. And the reptiles must get in one place to stay. So we should envisage all that in our medical planning, in budgeting, in our everything we do. It's a very pathetic case because her situation could have been arrested even by a native medicine. Okay. But it's unfortunate that we find ourselves in this place.
It's quite sad, really. I did a write-up on that, and I was very so surprised. It's the first time ever that I did a publication on TikTok. I got over 95,000 views on TikTok, and I was so surprised that Nigerians truly cared about this. And I guess the reason I got that number of views is because I juxtaposed Naya's that to what Wale Tinubu had said when he was given an honorary doctorate in University of Lagos. Right there he said that Nigerians should stop disparaging Nigeria, that we need to go through pains to be able to make it strong.
Imagine.
So I juxtaposed that to the death of this young girl and said, well, he is right to say that, knowing that he's coming from a privileged background. And for so many Nigerians who are not fortunate enough to come from privileged backgrounds, their cases might look like that of Nanya. Very so sad. But sometimes when I take a look at how man has been able to conquer so much. Yesterday I was watching a documentary of a surgery that happened between France and Canada. All right, a specialist in France actually operated on a woman from France without even going to Canada. How was he able to do that? They built a system, a mechanic system, where he could, with his hands,
control.
Yeah, control while the
control
surgery,
a robot.
Exactly.
That was doing the surgery on site.
On site.
Oh God!
Telemedicine.
Nigeria in the mud.
So you can see how man has
NEPA will carry lights while he's operating in Canada.
Are we not suffering of internet collapse every now and then?
God.
So you can see how other nations have taken themselves to, and common anti-venom for snakes and other reptiles we do not have in our hospitals. Why?
Because of lack of
Lack of
electricity. And rather than, see, I don't know, yes, I agree that we are not the only country distracted, right? But we started sharing recipes. If snake bites you, as in, citizens cannot even link the lack of good governance to what is happening to them. If your country, like your West African brothers, Togo, Ghana, just has 24 hours electricity, every hospital around you will have anti-venom in it. In a country where there are snakes everywhere. I was saying to my estate people that we have snakes behind us. So our primary health care center now, they will say they don't have anti-venom.
They would never have.
Imagine that.
They would never have.
And there's no outrage. The citizens are distracted. What becomes
of
us?
How will they have any form of outrage when already paid data bloggers on the internet are already comparing snake bites in Nigeria to India? They said in India it's about 250,000 bites.
They are paid to do that.
While in Nigeria is 150.
Even if they are paid
to do that.
You know the mistake they are making. Even if they are paid, you see, the reason why, the great Chino Achebe said, that the reason why we gather when there is a full moon is not because we cannot see the moon in our various homes, but because of that sense of communality. When an unfortunate thing like this happens, the reason why all of us get talking about it is because, you see, it affects that, like the full moon, it affects all of us one way or the other. So it is better we get talking about it instead of trying to make those silly, harebrained comparisons. It's better for people to listen. Because even if you are paid, when there's an emergency, there was one APC enthusiast. His son was said to be playing, and unfortunately, something entered his lungs.
Grape.
Or maybe birocover or granite or something entered his lungs. And they didn't have one equipment that could remove it from his lungs. And the boy died.
I think they call it ventilator.
That's in Ebonyi State. Yes, a defibrillator or something like that.
There's somebody else, another APC stalwart. His wife was pregnant. The hospital they went to demanded 500,000. Awesome. He was running up and down until the woman died with the pregnancy.
But in a place like Anambra State, delivery is free. Cesarean section is free. And I know some states like that have that kind of a thing. So if we can put pressure on government.
Reminds me of former, is it Abia governor? that was saying that he gives
500 naira. No, that man is just a comedian. So the thing is this. You see, even when we don't have constant power supply, operators of hospitals should know that what distinguishes your business from others is not that you operate like everyone else does, but that you have a system that is able to withstand any kind of disruption. And as a hospital, you cannot claim that there is no light. No, you have to find a way, unless
this thing that you are saying.
If University College Ibadan was out of light
for 3 months.
3 months.
No.
What are we talking
about?
about?
That you are saying,
let me tell you.
Sir,
go and look at
antivenom is not anti-malaria that people come to buy or use every day.
Yeah.
So if because of antivenom you are going to be putting on your gem for 24 hours.
No, I'm not saying putting on gem.
It's a business.
No, in the medical sector there are some of this. I'm not blaming anybody actually, but what I'm just saying is that, well, if you know, some of these things now have become a challenge. Like in Abuja now, I learned that the sale of green areas by the current administration, and the rapid development of those green areas has forced many of these reptiles and others out
into where people.
So now that has happened, what government ought to do is to ensure that if private hospitals who are doing their private business cannot afford to house antivenoms every day, your primary health care centers, they must have. They must be powered. Instead of the 6 billion that we're using for solar at Aso Rock, is to build solar system.
Is it 6 billion? It's 17 billion.
Is to use solar.
She's talking about
every year.
Maintenance.
They maintain. You don't know they maintain the solar every year.
No, they buy spoons every year.
Is to use public purse to ensure that the emergency drugs, first aid that you need to save lives, things like antivenom, that you will find them in all of our primary healthcare centers, not just the tertiary hospitals. And Nigerians should be more up in arms about this than we currently are. But we will take a quick break, and when we return, Juror Evans Ufeli will be here to present his case titled Drawing Nigeria Backwards. So stay tuned. We'll be right back.
The punching of jurors. In the hallowed halls of justice, where echoes of truth intertwine with whispers of despair, there stands Jumoke Alawode James, a radiant figure sculpted by the universe with the beauty of middleman.
Welcome back to the middleman of jurors. My case. The Senate decision Hello, welcome back to the middleman of jurors. Senate, drawing Nigeria backwards. The Senate decision to reject the compulsory real-time electronic transmission clause is a missed opportunity to strengthen transparency and public confidence in Nigeria's election. Making uploading from EC8A results to the IReV portal mandatory would have created a clearer legal chain of custody and reduced the window for manipulations, late alterations, and information asymmetry that often fuels post-election disputes. By leaving the modality as prescribed by the Commission, the law preserves operational flexibility, but sacrificed the legal uncertainty that would compel consistent nationwide practice and permit effective oversight. That said, the Senate's caution does reflect legitimate concern on even digital infrastructure, security threats in volatile polling areas, and capacity gap at local level. These realities argue not for abandonment of a statutory mandate, but for a more nuanced approach one that makes electronic transmission a default legal requirement while specifying permissible exceptions, contingencies, procedure, and strict timelines. The law should also mandate audits, independent verification mechanisms, and stiff penalties for tampering or unjustified delays. The reduction of the election notice period from 360 to 180 days and the halving of the candidate list deadline to 90 days have mixed implications. Shorter timelines can encourage efficiency and responsiveness, but risk compressing party primaries, increasing litigation, and disadvantage smaller parties with limited organizational reach. INEC and parties must be given adequate transition time. Abrupt calendar changes without commensurate capacity building invites confusion. My verdict: retaining the PVC while adopting BVAS is sensible. PVC remains the baseline identifier, and BVAS support accreditation and result transmission when properly networked. However, BVAS effectiveness is inseparable from statutory clarity on transmission. Ultimately, the legislature should anchor technological reform in law, mandating real-time transmission as the norm, instituting safeguards and contingencies, and ensuring resources and training are provided so that reform enhance both integrity and practicality. I shall go to Rabbi again.
Put the process in a pause mode
Ewo.
since the end of last year, when they worked on some sites and suspended some sites. So it's sad what the Senate came up with. Although some senators have come up this morning to say they were not a part of it.
So when you were not a part of it, they couldn't get up on the floor of the Senate and be shouting
Or
down
walk
the
out.
Senate president.
But when Natasha did
walk
it,
out.
she was suspended.
So they didn't want to be suspended.
We need
No, but that's nonsense now.
So we having.
Will I be in the Senate and one Senate president will be determining my fate?
That is
when
it.
I have the mandate of the people who elected, again, a lot of them don't have the mandate of anybody, shall?
It's actually quite funny. I was watching the video this morning again, and I was caught into when Senate President Godswill Akpabio said that they didn't change anything. That people should
He
not
thinks
join
that
the
he's talking to
bandwagon.
illiterates.
That what was it's
That
it's
he
what-
just
yes,
retained
they
the
just
old
retained it, yes.
2022 Act.
Exactly. That it is just that presiding officers, okay, have the mandate to submit the results, whichever form they want to, as determined by the commission, all right, which has been there for a very long time. And some of the reasons they gave was some localities in Nigeria do not have network, no connection to anything, to internet and all. So what happens after elections in those places? So
What
does that
happened to
mean-
Starlinks?
Well, that's another.
Where
are looking for
where are our
excuses.
satellites?
No, forget
Sat 1 and
satellites.
Sat 2 just
But
forget,
I thought they
There's
said
no
I
data.
thought one of them said they want to buy another.
forget our satellites.
satellite.
But Starlinks does not need your local internet connectivity. It works all over the world. We have it in Nigeria.
No, Jumoke, you are going too far. Jumoke, you are going too far. In the 2023 election, the IReV worked. It worked throughout. It was disrupted. They manipulated and stopped it from working. They were electronic.
You know where I will
transmission was
agree with you? You know where I will agree with you? Citizenmonitors.com were on the same Amazon platform that the IReV is on.
Yes.
When you already know that you are expecting
For House of Rep, for governors, it worked.
exactly,
For the presidential
and
election.
then when you are on Amazon and you know that you are expecting almost 200,000 posts, because we have 176,974 polling units in Nigeria, almost 200,000 polling units. So you are expecting election results from almost 200,000 polling units. Your capacity will be up to 500,000, right? So it wasn't that the server didn't work. I absolutely agree with you that they shut it down. Now, coming back to this electoral law amendments, and Senate President Godswill Akpabio being clever by half, saying social media is already saying that they removed the electric transmission. It was there, they retained it, they didn't touch it, don't follow bandwagon. Sir, we're not illiterate. You're not talking to children. At least every voter is 18 and above. Pretend like you know that we're intelligent people. The same electoral law that you're referring to, when the 2023 presidential elections went to court, and the opposition spoke about, if you go and look at IReV, you will see picture of some of the NYSC staff. They didn't even know how to post the results. So how did you find your collation that declared somebody president? The courts said to the opposition that electronic transmission is not compulsory. So which 2022 act are you talking about? We're not children. Come on.
You know the funny thing is that
the truth is that Akpabio cannot address the present Nigerian. Akpabio cannot, just like Adam Soshimole caught in the aircraft with a woman and he's saying that it's AI.
No, he was exercising his arms.
That generation the generation of Akpabio and Soshimole cannot address the current Nigerian when it comes to IT. That's what they don't understand. You can't address us. We will be the one to address you on AI.
Very true.
And transmission, and so you don't come and sit on that food telling us about
and be talking like what 2-year-olds
and be telling us about technology. You can't tell us about technology because we are the fulcrum of technology when it comes to the space. We understand it better than any of that generation is talking about. So it's unfortunate. What they did is the hand of the executive is in this. It's just a plan to return to in the next election.
And return all the senators also, because Akpabio was saying that is involved. Why would he do something like that? That we have gone ahead in technology. Why would he want to take us back? Okay, it's because you know that electronic transmission of results by noon, all of you will be out of office.
Yeah,
that's what they are preventing credible elections.
This government is unpopular, so they know that if they use that IReV, Tinubu cannot win up to 2 states in Nigeria. He can't. Okay, so if they make that mistake, they are going to find themselves all out of office. That's why. That's just what happened yesterday. What happened yesterday was a legislative coup against Nigeria.
What's the solution?
Okay.
What can we do?
Yes, that's what happened yesterday. The solution is for the people. The solution is for the people who sent them there, who sent those lawmakers there to assemble and begin to mobilize for their reform. That's the solution. I don't know why there's no protest this morning. There should be protest this morning.
Maybe we will gather ourselves. So
maybe next week.
Maybe we'll gather ourselves next week. It's not over. It's exactly 1 year to the election. We won't allow this to go like that. So.
You didn't send them. They have to. And you know that. Even if they had passed, even if they have put the electronic transmission there and everything, and passed it to the president will still veto it. He will still veto it. Because what they have done now. What they have done now, you still need to even veto it, because if you look at the time lag between when they have to submit names to INEC and everything, it's all mobbled up now, and it's so short and confusing.
This 9th Senate, they are such a disappointment. They are such a disappointment. I remember Saraki fondly. Anyway, we'll take a quick break, and when we return, Juro Enrique VK will be here to present his case titled "Old Money Has Distant Roots, While New Money Has Fake Filters." the identity crisis of the Nigerian billionaire is real. Just stay tuned, we'll be right back.
To a stallion galloping through fields of reckoning. Clad in the armor of eloquence, her voice pierces the thick veil of complacency, unraveling cases that cradle the very essence of Nigeria's collective agony. She stands a sentinel over a nation laid bare, beckoning it to rise from the ashes of its own dissolution, crying out for a redemption that dances just beyond reach. Next emerges Evans Ufeli, a sage with a heart that beats in harmony with the rhythm of justice, an advocate driven by a fervent dream of egalitarian dawn. Each week, he unfolds a scroll of cases bestowed upon him by the wise rabbi, a craft woven with threads of profound thought and searing urgency. His lamentation for the plight of the people rises like a haunting melody, reverberating through a land where self-inflicted wounds twist the tendrils of allegiance into knots of a servitude, traded for nothing more than a pittance, a morsel of bread amidst the hunger of the soul. Then strides forth Emeka Madunago, a linguistic maestro, armed with knowledge as dense as the forest, each word a carefully sharpened arrow aimed at the heart of injustice. He ventures onto this hallowed platform armed with solutions, a veritable panacea for the ail of his compatriots. Emeka unyielding locks eyes with the elite, unflinching in his resolve as he speaks truth to power with the fervor of a modern-day prophet. He advocates for a class suicide, a radical act of severance from the vines of greed that choke the very life of Nigeria, prescribing this sacrificial rite as the only balm for the nation's festering wounds. Now, we bear witness to Innocent Aduluba, a custodian of integrity, where honesty flows like a river untainted. His edges of sacred truth is fortified by the solid foundation. Thank you for staying with us. My case: old money has decent roots, while new money has fake filters. The identity crisis of the Nigerian billionaire is real. Whenever Mr. Cosmos Maduka, chairman of Coast Charis Group, speaks about his journey to success, inspiration follows naturally. His story is methodical, detailed, and verifiable. Beginning in 1979, Maduka's entrepreneurial rise was neither magical nor easy. It was built on discipline, structure, and a system that anyone willing to learn could apply and make it work. His wealth has a clear trajectory, providing that sustainable success is not accidental but earned. Now, contrast this with the growing army of self-acclaimed young Odogu billionaires flooding social media. They parade luxury cars, mansions, champagne-soaked parties, and proximity to powerful politicians. Yet, when asked how their fortunes were made, the answers are thin, evasive, and often unverifiable. They vaguely point to real estates, nightclubs, or investments, but the timelines don't add up. The efforts is often unclear, and the partners are conveniently shadowy. Anyone who understands the mechanics of wealth creation can spot the red flags. Behind many of these overnight success stories lie darker parts, like cybercrime, wire fraud, drug trafficking, and other forms of organized crime. This pattern was recently reinforced by the case of one Nzube Henry Ikeji. In February of 2026, an investigation by the Organized Crime and Corruption Reporting Project revealed that the 31-year-old socialite, alongside Dr. Martins, allegedly defrauded a Romanian businesswoman of over $2.5 million. Ikeji reportedly impersonated Dubai's Crown Prince Sheikh Hamdan bin Mohammed Al Maktoum to lure the victim into a fraudulent humanitarian investment and romance scam. This story mirrors that of Ramon Olonwa Abbas, popularly called Hush Puppy, who defrauded individuals and institutions globally until he was caught in Dubai and extradited to the United States of America, where he is currently serving an 11 years prison sentence. It is a bitter irony that while some corrupt politicians defraud their constituencies to show off, certain members of those same constituencies defraud global citizens to achieve the same ends. Now, ultimately, the resulting shame and ignominy are visited upon us in Nigeria. My verdict: until wealth is transparent, traceable, and earned, Nigerians must stop celebrating affluence and start questioning it. Today, it is Nzube Ikeji. Tomorrow, another mask will fall. Julius.
Well, but three things quickly for me. One, if somebody was posing as the crown prince of Dubai or Saudi Arabia or whatever, and you were going to spend millions of dollars, you would want to see them. You will not lack $1,000 or $700 to fly to the Dubai from your America and go and physically see them. You know, so they say that the victims of fraud, a lot of times they're fraudulent, except the romance ones who they believe that they are chatting with one handsome man somewhere. Two, in lots of international fraudsters, knowing that Nigeria has a reputation for 419 internet fraud, yes, mask like they are actually in Nigeria. I saw one situation room, because there are many for DA in one Asian country, yeah, right? And they were making calls. It was somebody's business, hired hundreds of telephone attendants, and they were making calls pretending to be in Nigeria, and they were actually in all of Asia, right? That's the second one. But the third one, Nigerians are corrupt. Oh God, the politicians are defrauding us. We are defrauding ourselves and defrauding foreigners. Yes. When the low-level 419s excuse themselves away, they will say things like, and they took us as slaves, so this is their payback, you know, it's reparation and things like that. Stealing other people's money is not a way of creating wealth. That's why you'll find that some of them will hardly stay onto the wealth. Some others who have links to politicians and are siphoning money on behalf of the politicians, they want to make the money look clean. Yes. Is why they now set up funny businesses like nightclub. You will enter one nightclub and see that their bill is their price range, for instance, in 2026, say 4 million for one drink and things. You enter, there are only 2 or 3 people there. At the end of the month or the year, they are declaring trillions in income. Of course, they are washing.
While selling fake drinks.
They are washing. Of course, they are even washing money. You know,
wash. And
we know that wealth, like we discussed about it last week, that wealth, there's traceable, there is enterprise behind wealth. You don't become wealthy overnight. Oh, there are windfalls like lottery, and you will find all over the world that a lot of people who win lottery, they don't hold on to it, because wealth is something you build over time. You must learn to manage it. Yeah. You remember the boy who the First Bank paid 1.5 billion into his account. In 1 month, he has spent 200 billion.
200 million, yes.
Because he never imagined.
No, Yorubas have a saying, Olegbe. That is the vicious
cycle
we find in Nigeria. But you see, the sad thing is this. Like I tell people, it's not difficult to make money. Let me tell you, one thing I've discovered listening to so many billionaires, so many wealth managers across the world is that train your mind to think about what money is. First of all, the money you can make begins from your mind. It's not the happenstance. Yes, there will be happenstances. Somebody might just be looking for something, and somehow you know where it is, and you just charge a fee. From there, you know one thing or the other. But why would I, for instance, go into crime? The time I'll spend preparing schemes on how to dupe people. Let me tell you something. If I go and learn coding, right? If I can write a script or code or something, you know, I can do a business proposal. There are things I can look for people looking for certain kinds of produce from Nigeria, and then I get them, and I will get people who have such things, be an intermediary, you know. That is commerce, you know, global commerce and e-commerce. I can, you know, facilitate transaction. Why would I go duping people? It's more difficult to commit crime than it is to make genuine money. It's not. It's what when I see all of these things. And by the way, who made them billionaires? Who made them billionaires? You see, the question is also the framing by the media bloggers in Nigeria. Who made these people? Who made these people billionaires? Because you know what a billion is? A billion is a lot of money. If I see a billion as I'm sitting here, what are we talking about? I know where I will deploy it. And I will not need to work again all my life. There are so many. Nigeria, one, is a country that has many problems. So, like somebody once said, he said, for God so loved Africans that he gave us many problems. So, he said, solve one problem, and you make money. You know, so we have enough challenges. We have enough issues. You know, we know of Nigerians, you know, who have developed apps, and they made money from it. We know Nigerians who have done one thing or the other. But all these characters, when you call them billionaires, who made them billionaires? How many jobs have they created? I'm not talking of putting people to ride rickshaws, keke and all that. You say that is job creation. It's not sustainable. It's not scalable.
Yeah, I think the society made it so too, because in a society where if you don't have money, you're nothing. It's a very, very difficult situation to go by. And even this thing has even crept into the church. The church or the religious center that is supposed to be the filter where moral instruction is supposed to come from. And moral instruction that should make people, you know, recuse themselves from those kind of philanthropy. It is the religious center now that is propagating it. Even this poor and all that. So when you have that kind of system, everything goes. People will want to show off, especially when 90% of them are coming from ruthless poverty. Whatever it is, they will have to show off that they have more than their neighbors. They want to oppress people. And so they can go into any kind of crime, cyber crime, all kinds of stealing and all that to ensure that dream comes true. And when it comes true, they use it to oppress others and just show off. And that's the end. They don't even invest it well. They don't use it in a way that, they just, because it's also not coming from a good source. So it will filter away. And it's an unfortunate situation because the younger generation are so fixated watching these people, how they, live extravagant life, and we all think that is the way out and that's the way to go. But these things don't last. They are not sustainable.
Just thin line between banditry and those crimes is actually quite close, because there's no difference. Just like those cybercrime fraudsters, show off their wealth on social media, so equally do bandits equally do the same?
Imagine.
Yes,
Yeah.
it's almost the same thing.
Nigerians
the
are
same
corrupt.
way-
These are social media
Yes,
bandits. Then.
and the same way new persons get recruited into those cybercrime acts. That's the same way new bandits get recruited, because when people come show off their loot they've collected from ransom, this is
Leadership.
how it goes. And I
solution.
love to say that just like the famous, is it the Japanese or the Chinese? Saying would say when the head is rotten, the rest of the body goes with it. So if our leaders, show a sense of responsibility.
If our leaders are not riding in private jet, robbing baby girls,
Yes.
Oh my.
and telling us it is AI.
Oble, engaging in Oble after Christmas. Christmas, 30 December has gone.
The
No?
funny thing, the girl, when we're attacking her, that they're spending our money. She said, no. Go and talk to your senator. The same senator that is saying
It's
the AI. They think they're talking to children.
All right, so we will take a quick break, and when we return, Juro Emeka Madunagu will be here to present his case titled Fela's Grammy and Nigeria's Future. So stay tuned.
Fine girl.
Harmony with the rhythm of justice, an advocate driven by a fervent dream of egalitarian dawn. Each week, he unfolds a scroll of cases bestowed upon him by the wise rabbi, a craft woven with threads of profound thought and searing urgency. His lamentation for the plight of the people rises like a haunting melody, reverberating through a land where self-inflicted wounds twist the tendrils of allegiance into knots of a servitude, traded for nothing more than a pittance, a morsel of bread amidst the hunger of the soul. Then strides forth Emeka Madunagu, a linguistic maestro, armed with knowledge as dense as the forest, each word a carefully sharpened arrow aimed at the heart of injustice. He ventures onto this hallowed platform armed with solutions, a veritable panacea for the ail of his compatriots. Emeka unyielding locks eyes with the elite, unflinching in his resolve as he speaks truth to power with the fervor of a modern-day prophet. He advocates for a class suicide, a radical act of severance from the vines of greed that choke the very life of Nigeria, prescribing this sacrificial rite as the only balm for the nation's festering wounds. Now, we bear witness to innocent Aduluba, a custodian of integrity, where honesty flows like a river untainted.
My case, Fela's Grammy and Nigeria's future. Make I yab them.
Yab them.
Make I yab them.
Yab them, Oga.
That was a regular mantra of Afrobeats originator Abamieda, Fela Nicola Pokuti. He spoke, he sang, and danced with so much force. He feared nobody. He spoke truth to power. He damned threats from his traducers and condemned the ills of society he lived in at the time. No erring global figure or institution was spared his caustic umbrage. He attacked the United Nations. He attacked apartheid. Yes, he was also a fearless voice against oppression, corruption, and social injustice. Fela made history a few days ago by becoming the first African artist to receive the Grammy Lifetime Achievement Award. This prestigious honor was bestowed upon him posthumously, recognizing his groundbreaking contributions to music and his enduring impact on the global music scene. The award marked a milestone in African music, acknowledging Fela's influence on generations of artists and his role in shaping the Afrobeat genre. The award is a testament to Fela's innovative fusion of traditional African rhythms to jazz, funk, and high life, creating a unique sound that continues to inspire our tastes worldwide. My verdict. Fela spoke like a prophet in his lyrics and interviews. The ills he fought against are still with us today. Where do we go from here?
3 things quickly. Afrobeats that Fela created is totally different from Afrobeats. How, you know, the rest of the world just, you know, clock the, African music, right? And then number 2, like Pastor, what's that pastor? Ozumeje, what's his name? Odumeje will say, who Grammy help? You know. Thirdly, there's some people who say that is people in Hollywood who know about Fela, who clamored for this, because Fela's death is almost, he died in 1997. It's 29 years this year. I mean, so why now, you know? But honor anywhere in the world is still honor. That somebody is being honored and is the first African to get that honor is applaudable. We're very proud, you know, of Fela posthumously, because when he was alive, we demonized him. Parents did not want their children close to anything close to Fela. They made him seem like an outlaw, a rebellious child. All his family members were doctors. He came from prestigious, rich background, but he was rebellious, fighting every government and things like that. But now we call him a prophet because the things he sang about over 40 years ago, you know, are still with us today. And then coming back to the who Grammy help parts, you know, there are people who are saying that the Grammys is so political, you know, particularly what happened with Davido. They make us, you know, clamor for, oh, this Nigerian. I mean, we're the biggest black nation in the world. And then they keep on giving the best African performance to Tyler, South African, who plays pop. Is that Afrobeat? Or even Afrobeats. She's playing pop. Is more like the kind of music. She
should be in another category.
In another genre, in another category altogether. Absolutely. And then lastly, there are people who say, look, let's create our own Nigerian headies. African Music Awards, Afrima, and build it to the prestige that Grammy currently has. Let's Americans and Europeans and Asians also be clamoring to come to Africa for the African Music Awards or Headies or something like that. That we must own our own and build it to that prestigious level and not let them continue to use us as statistics, bait. We are nominating Burna Boy, Wizkid, Davido, and then we all rush there hoping that our own will win, and eventually they give it to somebody that the category is totally out of it. But congratulations to the Anikula Akpabio family. This honor is well deserved, particularly because 29 years after, everything their father, their progenitor, sang about is still very relevant.
Very well said. For me, my take home actually, you know, from that honor, you know, given to him is the fact that in the now, the big question is, what are you currently doing that might be of reference for you in the future? That is the big question. I was reading Showore's write-up on how his life has been thus far. He said in 1993, when he was first arrested by the DSS and all that he went through, and the big question he asked, where are those DSS personnel that arrested him in 1993? Where are they today?
Many of them.
None of them can be reckoned with. None of them can be remembered. None of them can be detailed. But Showore is still recognized. Is still accepted. Is still there, and people can make reference to him and use him. So I think it's very important that in the now, let's not be too comfortable to feel that what we are currently doing cannot be recognized in the future. That is why I laugh at people who are two-faced in life. They are neither here, they are neither there. You know, you can't say where they belong to at a particular point in time. And you know, Providence has a way of judging some of these things, and I think it's an opportunity for us, to keep account of the things that we do now with future in mind. I think that is my take home for the honor that was given to Fela. A once rejected stone is now the cornerstone of an industry and
Wisdom.
would continue to be that way in the future.
During the reign of Fela, it was a time when moral judgment was heavy on the act of uprightness and discipline was very heavy in the African hemisphere, such that if you are not studying medicine, law, engineering, and if you don't tuck in your shirts and you don't put on a tie and you are not seen as a serious person, if you say you're a musician in those days, you are almost like an outcast. If you are say you're a footballer in those days, they'll look at you like, what is he saying? Where is he coming from? And all rest of that. They will even make jest of your parents and all that. So that was the era where Fela grew. And what made him stand out was that despite that judgmental face, you know, he was still able to, he came out louder than even necessary to embrace what he believes in with his chest and stood for it and fought. Activism during his time was even more difficult because it was military regime. I had to go to prison repeatedly. And it was because of his activism that led to the death of the mother, who was thrown from upstairs, downstairs, and all that. And he fought the military to his standstill. So the award is very critical to the family and to the larger society in Nigeria and Africa. Because Fela sang about Africa, representing that space is one that came with a lot of responsibilities. Okay. And that is why when the younger generation came up with their useless comparison a few weeks ago about who is greater than what and all that between him and Whiskey, I was surprised, so disappointed that we can go that low. But that notwithstanding, he stood for what is right. He stood for what he believes was the truth, and the message still reverberates his death. Okay. We are still trapped in that mess, okay, that sang about. We are still even much
Give us
worse.
human rights.
The austerity measure now and all that. In those days, they open fire on protesters. Look at what has become today. All right, protests have been criminalized and all that. When you do that, you open both at state level and federal level. So it's a good one for us, and I think that is a very good take home. As for Davido and the others who were nominated and didn't get it, I've said it before that compressing the Grammy Award to Best African Performing Artist is not the right kind of thing. They have to open up that category. What Tyler is not even singing Afrobeat in the first place.
At all.
Okay.
She's doing pop.
She
sounds more foreign than African.
Yeah, of course.
She's doing pop music. Okay,
Yeah.
but you know the Grammy is so politicized. It's so politicized.
Absolutely.
They've taken even racism into it. They've taken everything into it, and they just few people with wealth that determine who is. Forget about the votes and all that. The reason they are using Davido and Burna Boy and Whiskey is just because of our population. Because
Very
we
true.
know we are fixated
Very true.
with that process. So that's what is going on.
Very true.
Using us to market the entire thing and all that. So whatever it is, we should be able to develop one for Africa. The one we have already, the existing one, we should be able to make it better, and that should be it.
Yes.
Wow. That brings today's session of the Middlemen to a close. Thank you for joining the conversation. Until next time, stay informed and stay engaged. Follow us across all social media platforms at Enterprise TV7. From the jurors and me, it's goodbye for now.
Bye, Evans.
Middleman. Middleman.